Hi there. I just had a conversation with a friend and we had a very interesting chat about the listening experience, and we covered like vinyl, listening to vinyl. Can you really tell the difference between analog and digital? And also listening to CDs and streaming music. So with streaming music, we were discussing how some people would prefer to shuffle their music if they buy a whole album, or they just pick one particular track, and whether or not people are missing an opportunity if they're doing that. And when we were talking about this, two LPs came into mind, and I thought, if someone had downloaded these LPs and streaming it and they put it in a shuffle mode, in my view, I think they would personally be missing out on the whole experience, on the intended experience that the artist or the producer wanted you to have. So the two LPs that really came into mind are De La Soul's 3 Feet and Rising. Can you see that? It's a wonderful cover, right? The album art's fantastic, really fun and funky. And here's the back. There you go. So this LP is considered a hip-hop masterpiece. So I'm really happy I got this in my collection. So it was released in 1989. And when you look at it, you think, wow, that's a lot. There are a lot of tracks on here. But in actuality, half these tracks are actually intros in between the songs. So this whole LP, it just plays really well from beginning to end, and you get it. It's like a very playful story. There's a lot of fun, playful, witty wording and rhyming, and it all just blends so well when you're listening it straight through in sequence, right? So this to me, if I had downloaded the album on a streaming service and decided to put a shuffle play on it, I think I would have a completely different experience, and I would probably really hate this LP. Also, if I had picked one song from here or two, you wouldn't really get a feel of what these guys are all about, what this band's all about. So I just want to show you also, it's worth showing this off. The inner sleeve, it's really fun. It's got lots of cartoons, very playful. So this was their first debut album. So really happy about that. The second LP that popped into my mind when I was chatting with my friend about CDs and streaming music is that if you listen to this LP, Janet Jackson, 1993, it's her 5th album. Again, it's got lots of tracks, like technically 27, but half of those are intros into the songs, so they're all segues into the songs. And interestingly enough, this LP, she actually has tracks that are very rocky, and then she'll have some tracks that are hip hop, and then a couple of tracks that are rhythm and blues. So the tempo's all over, it covers a wide spectrum along with the style of the music, but it all works because of the segues. So if you were to listen to this on a shuffle mode, it just wouldn't make any sense. It would be pretty chaotic. I mean, you may like that, I'm not sure, but for me, I just think it just plays so beautifully when you listen to this album in order, in sequence. So I actually have the CD. I originally bought this before the LP. By the way, the LPs are a reissue. So I bought the CD. This came out in 1993, and I have never played this on a shuffle mode. It's always been from beginning to end, and it's so enjoyable. And if I had just played one or two, or just picked one or two tracks out of here, it just is not enjoyable in listening to the whole CD. The only time I would really put a shuffle mode on a CD would be a compilation or a greatest hits. To me, I think it's quite fun to put it on a shuffle mode because you don't know what's going to come up next. Because after a while, when you hear a CD over and over again, like I do, because I'm a big Janet Jackson fan. Well, in fact, I'm a big Janet Jackson fan of her later albums. So like her 4th and 5th album, like Rhythm Nation and this one. So this greatest hits, I play on shuffle mode all the time. So that's all right, because it doesn't matter the order really. And I want to say that a friend of mine also joined in on this topic, this conversation, and he's a bit of a classical fan, and he was just saying, look, it makes sense, because can you imagine, you're a composer and you write a symphony, and symphony has 4 movements. You wouldn't be listening to it in non-sequential order, or else it just wouldn't flow. It just wouldn't work. So he has classical music CDs, and he always listens to them from beginning to end, because if it's a symphony, then it would be sacrilege if you didn't follow the order on the CD. Apparently, that's what he said. So these are just kind of my thoughts, and it got me thinking about certain LPs I have in my collection that you have to listen to from beginning to end. And by that, I must say, back in the day, I did pick and choose songs from LPs when I was making my mixtape. So I would pick my favorite, and that would be it. I wouldn't even sample the other songs on the LP. But I realized now I was completely denying myself the experience, because there's so much work, thought, and art put into these songs in a particular order. So only now I realize that having a bit more time, I'm actually rediscovering music that I've been familiar with. So it's been a really fantastic journey and process to learn something new about an artist or a group, and really to discover songs that they've done a long time ago, and they feel really fresh and new to me, because I've only appreciated it now because I'm listening to the LPs from beginning to end. So I mean, obviously, also with LPs, you can't really put these on shuffle, right? Unless you're standing next to your record player and just putting that tone on different tracks, as you just wouldn't do that. So that's the beauty of listening to LPs, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for joining me.